Once upon a time, in a dense forest, a mighty lion lay asleep under a shady tree. Suddenly, a little mouse ran over the lion's body, playfully scampering about. The lion woke up, annoyed by the disturbance, and caught the mouse in his powerful paw. "How dare you disturb my sleep?" roared the lion. "I will eat you as punishment." The terrified mouse pleaded, "Oh, mighty king of the jungle, please spare my life. I promise to repay your kindness someday." The lion laughed at the idea of a tiny mouse helping him, but decided to let the mouse go. "You are too small to bother eating. Go and stay out of my way," he said, releasing the mouse. Days passed, and the lion continued ruling the forest. One day, however, he walked into a hunter's trap. The hunters had set up a strong net, and the lion found himself entangled and helpless. He roared loudly for help, but no one dared to come close. Hearing the lion's cries, the mouse recognized the voice and rushed to the spot. Seeing the lion caught in the net, the mouse said, "Don't worry, my friend. I promise to help you one day, and now is my chance." With its sharp teeth, the little mouse began gnawing at the ropes. Bit by bit, it chewed through the net, setting the lion free. The lion was astonished and deeply grateful. "You saved my life, little one," said the lion humbly. "I underestimated your worth. Thank you for proving that even the smallest creatures can make a big difference." The lion and the mouse became friends, and the lion learned an important lesson. Kindness is never wasted, and even the smallest act of mercy can bring unexpected rewards. From that day forward, the lion ruled the forest with greater wisdom and compassion, always remembering the mouse's loyalty and bravery. Moral: no act of kindness is too small, and even the weakest can help the strongest. Once upon a time, in a dense forest, there lived a hare who was proud of his speed. He often boasted to the other animals about how fast he could run. The tortoise, who was known for his slow pace, grew tired of the hare's arrogance and decided to teach him a lesson. One day, the tortoise challenged the hare to a race. Amused by the tortoise's audacity, the hare laughed and accepted the challenge. The other animals gathered to watch this unusual race, curious about the outcome. The race began, and the hare sprinted off the starting line, leaving the tortoise far behind. Confident of his victory, the hare decided to take a nap under a tree midway through the race. He thought, "The tortoise is so slow, there's no way he'll catch up." Meanwhile, the tortoise continued moving steadily and determinedly, never stopping or looking back. Step by step, he passed the sleeping hare and kept moving towards the finish line. After a long nap, the hare woke up and saw that the tortoise was close to the finish line. Panicking, he dashed as fast as he could to catch up, but it was too late. The tortoise had already crossed the finish line and won the race. The animals cheered for the tortoise, and the hare hung his head in shame. The tortoise turned to the hare and said, "Slow and steady wins the race." The hare learned a valuable lesson that day about the dangers of overconfidence and the importance of perseverance. From that moment on, he never underestimated anyone again. Once upon a time, there was a poor but honest woodcutter who lived near a dense forest. Every day, he would go to the forest to chop wood, sell it in the market, and earn just enough to support his small family. One day, while cutting wood near a river, his axe slipped from his hands and fell into the deep water. The woodcutter was distraught because the axe was his only means of livelihood. He sat by the river, lamenting his bad luck. Hearing his cries, the river goddess appeared. She asked, "Why are you so sad, dear woodcutter?" The woodcutter explained his plight, and the goddess, moved by his honesty, decided to help. She dived into the river and brought up a shiny golden axe. "Is this your axe?" she asked. The woodcutter shook his head and replied, "No, that is not my axe." The goddess went back into the water and returned with a silver axe. She asked again, "Is this your axe?" The woodcutter again shook his head and said, "No, that is not mine either." Finally, the goddess brought up his old, worn-out iron axe. The woodcutter's face lit up with joy, and he exclaimed, "Yes, that is my axe." The goddess was impressed by his honesty. She said, "You are an honest man. As a reward, I will give you all 3 axes, the golden, the silver, and your own iron axe." The woodcutter was overwhelmed with gratitude and thanked the goddess. He returned home with all 3 axes and told his neighbors about the incident. However, some greedy neighbors decided to try their luck. One of them purposely dropped his axe into the river and pretended to cry. The river goddess appeared and offered him a golden axe. Overcome by greed, the man quickly claimed it as his own. The goddess saw through his lies and became angry. She refused to give him his axe back and disappeared. The greedy man learned a lesson, and the woodcutter continued to live a content and honest life. Moral of the story: honesty is always rewarded, while greed and It was a hot summer afternoon, and the sun blazed fiercely in the sky. The land was parched, and rivers had dried up. A crow, tired and thirsty, flew from one place to another in search of water. His throat felt dry, and his wings were weary, but he didn't give up. As he soared over a village, his sharp eyes spotted a clay pot under a tree. Excited, he flew down and perched on the pot's edge. To his disappointment, the pot wasn't full. There was just a little water at the bottom, far beyond the reach of his beak. The crow thought hard. "There must be a way to get that water," he said to himself. He glanced around and noticed small pebbles scattered on the ground nearby. An idea sparked in his clever mind. One by one, he picked up the pebbles with his beak and dropped them into the pot. Each pebble sank to the bottom, causing the water to rise a little. The crow worked tirelessly, his determination unwavering. Slowly but surely, the water level rose. Finally, after what felt like hours, the water reached the brim of the pot. The crow eagerly dipped his beak and drank to his heart's content. The cool water refreshed him, and he felt a surge of energy. As he flew away, the crow felt proud of his cleverness. He realized that no matter how challenging a situation might be, patience and ingenuity could lead to success. And so the crow soared high into the sky, ready to face whatever the day would bring. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled by a sparkling river, there lived a dog named Bruno. Bruno was not an ordinary dog. He was exceptionally greedy. Despite having a kind owner who fed him well, Bruno always craved more. One sunny afternoon, as Bruno wandered around the village, he noticed a butcher's shop. His nose twitched at the smell of fresh meat and his mouth watered. Quietly, he crept closer, waiting for the butcher to step away. When the moment arrived, Bruno seized a large juicy bone and ran as fast as his legs could carry him. Panting with excitement, Bruno decided to cross the wooden bridge over the river to enjoy his treat in peace. As he trotted across, the sunlight reflected off the calm water below, catching his attention. He glanced down and saw another dog in the river, holding an equally large bone in its mouth. Bruno's eyes widened. "That bone looks even bigger than mine," he thought. Driven by his greed, Bruno barked fiercely at the dog in the water, hoping to scare it into dropping its bone. But as he opened his mouth, the bone he was carrying slipped and fell into the river with a splash. Confused, Bruno peered into the water, realizing too late that the other dog was just his reflection. His precious bone had sunk to the bottom, lost forever. He barked in frustration, but there was nothing he could do. Bruno trudged home, his tail between his legs and his stomach empty. When he arrived, his owner noticed his forlorn expression and sighed. "Bruno," she said, "you must learn to be content with what you have. Greed never brings happiness." From that day on, Bruno tried his best to remember his owner's words. Though the temptation to take more than he needed never entirely left him, the memory of the lost bone reminded him of the cost of greed. And so, Bruno lived the rest of his days more content, learning that sometimes what you have